By the way, you won't be tested on annuities, so I skipped those. You'll see things where I put, or like, remember the modified accelerated depreciation in the one chapter? They're not going to trust you on that.
I don't remember.
Can you say that again?
The makers.
What is it? Modified accelerated
RS makers.
Modified accelerated depreciation. They will not test you on that. So you'll see a big X through an entire page where that's covered. All right. I have a few more bond problems, cash flow problems. For those of you, I have one of these because you're going to have an entire one of these. Whack. I know. So.
I actually got pretty good at those.
What? It was did on the test. It was in multiple choice.
Yeah, but it wasn't like, I studied it so, like I was like, oh, she can't
But
go
you
like
know
5
what?
of these.
Then you won't have to study it for the final because you're going to have a whole page of it.
I was so disappointed though.
I was
I was so ready.
to like work my whole damn thing out, and then
I'll give you another one after class and you can get a couple extra points.
I can totally work.
All right. The bonds issued by Bluefish have a 7% coupon payable semi-annually. This is one, they're going to test you more on bonds than they are on stock. I don't know why, because no one buys bonds anymore because they don't pay shit. But 2%, I don't buy them. The bonds mature in 10 years and have a face value of $1,000. Currently, the bonds are quoted at 98.9. Thus, they sell for $989. What's the yield of maturity? You take the $1,000 times your 10%, excuse me, your 7%, divided by 2, that's your coupon. You have 10 years to maturity, you have 2 payments a year, so you have, your N is 20, your interest is 7. Can you guys see anything? Y'all can't listen to what I'm saying, you can see her screen.
Auction like your chair off.
There's more room back.
Not really.
I hope you guys took pictures because I want this as ammo. I really do. I'm going to say to them, you know, you guys are not going to let me teach us in the fall. This isn't fair to the students. And if you guys really aren't willing to help them, I'm willing to help them. Sign a petition, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. All right. So we need 2 payments a year, right?
Yep.
Make sure you're there. I take $35 as my payment. What's my future value? 1,000. My interest a year is 7%. What else did I forget? Did I do 20? Oh, I forgot my current selling price, $989. Negative, that's my present value. Minus $989. And then I get to interest. You guys can do that, right?
Yep.
You guys want me to go over another stock one, or you want to look at this in your own time? All right.
Go over it.
You have time? Vote. How many of you want me to go through it? Probably nothing. All right, so one, down payment, I'll walk through it, and you can solve it later. So you're going to have, again, 3 to 4 of these where you have different dividends. You may have to calculate the dividend, then you're going to have a final growth rate. By the way, this is how stocks are really priced, okay? Not a dividend discount model. So we have a company, like a tech company, no dividend for 5 years. 6 years from now, the company projects paying an annual dividend of $1 and then increasing to $3 annually thereafter. What's the value of the stock if the discount rate is 10%? I have no dividends, period, 0 through 5. I have $1, period, 6. Period 7, I grow at 3% forever. So, what price am I figuring out first? Step back 1 period from growth, forever. 6. I grow forever at 7, which means I step back 1 period to figure out what growth, my price where it grows into infinity. Where it grows into infinity is at 6. So, I have to figure out dividend 7 divided by R minus G. So I take my $1, multiply it by 1 plus 3%, divide that by my required rate of return of 10% minus the 3%. My price for period 6 is equal to $14.71. I'm gonna add that to my dividend. So my cash flow is $15.71 for period 6. I got nothing. This one's an easy one. I don't put anything in my cash flows for periods 0 through 5. I just have one cash flow to put in my calculator for cash flow 6, 1571. What am I gonna discount it at? 10%, that's my R. And you should get $8.87. Remember, if they ask you, you have cash flows, you're gonna have to discount both of them, and then you're gonna have to determine.
Can you shift the paper a bit?
Yes, thank you for telling me. How's that, better?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So you're gonna be, this is probably something that you do, because this is something that's important for a concept. You're gonna have two different cash flows. You're gonna have to figure out the NPV, net present value, and you're gonna say if you're going to accept or reject them. Now, if it says it's an exclusive project, what does that mean, my class? One project only can be accepted. Which one? The one that has the higher NPV, that's for greater. But if it says they're two independent, you can do both. So both of these have positive NPV, because they're independent. You can accept both of them. But read the wording. Some of you have a tendency to read quickly, not absorb it.
What was the other one, mutually exclusive? What did you-
Mutually exclusive. This is versus. So it's independent versus mutually exclusive. Which means one project only. Drake Builders. Be sure and separate sunk costs versus costs that you will have to incur now. Might go back and look at that on your own. 16. 17. This is another cash flow. Terminal cash flow. Now, I know they're gonna give you at least a couple of those, so if you have problems. Yes. If you have problems with terminal cash flow, look at these. 17, consider a profitable company with an asset that costs $500,000 that is being depreciated straight line over 8 years. The asset will be used for 5 years only. That means it's got a gain or loss, and then it'll be sold for $90,000. If the relevant tax rate is 35%, what is the after-tax cash flow from the sale of this asset? First of all, I have to figure out my depreciation expense, 500,000 divided by 8 years. So my depreciation expense, $62,500 a year. So I have to figure out my remaining book value to figure out if it's a gain or loss. So that's my cost, the 500,000, minus the depreciation I've taken for 5 years, so $62,500 times 5. That gives me a remaining book value. I have $187,500. This is what you're gonna get. You're gonna get $90,000. So you're gonna lose $97,500. So you multiply that by your tax rate, that's your tax credit. So what did you receive? You got your money, this is what they're giving you, the $90,000 plus the tax credit. That is the amount you're receiving as your terminal cash flow.
Or if it's a gain, it would be tax expense.
If it's a gain, it would be a tax expense, yes. You want me to say something? No. Okay, what's missing here that they didn't give you that you usually have to add back? My students better know this. Working capital.
Working capital.
Working.
This guy.
You know, next time your kid's in the class, I'm gonna make sure he walks away with one of my kittens.
That